Welcome, everyone. You are listening to Get Out of Your Own Way with me, April Yee, on Transformation Talk Radio. Get out of your way and get what you want through transformative self-care. I'm here to support you in getting out of your own way. So what does getting in your own way look like? Well, how about letting other people define your value and worth, ignoring your body by not taking care of yourself, and people-pleasing? These are just a few ways I've gotten in my own way. In this show, I'll share new perspectives on self-care practices so you can discover options and choices for expanding what's possible for you and your life. In each episode, I have questions for you, and when you take the time to answer them, they'll help in building up your belief about yourself. I believe that when we get good with ourselves, we get good with our lives and the world. Get Out of Your Own Way starts now. Hi, everyone. You are listening to Get Out of Your Own Way on Transformation Talk Radio, episode 16. The concepts I talk about in each episode are things I wish I learned sooner to support myself and get out of my own way. So I hope these ideas are coming to you when you need them. And for this episode, it's the second of several guests visiting the podcast. And each of my guests, like all of us, have gotten in their own way in some aspect of their lives. And they've figured out how to get out of their own way with support, resources, and wisdom that they've gained along their journey. And since this podcast is called Get Out of Your Own Way, I'll be asking my guests, how have you gotten in your own way? And how did you learn to get out of your own way? And we'll be hearing from them and their stories, and you might even recognize yourself in what they share. So today I'm happy to have Claire Baker join me. And I met Claire, I think 3 years ago now. We both did our coaching certification through the Life Coach School, and we met in a mastermind group. And our group started out with, I think, like 14 people. And this was to do post-certification, continuing learning. And we would talk about different topics and just help each other learn and become even better coaches. And it was really great to now have our smaller group that we've been meeting with for over 3 years. And now we're down to about 6 or 7 people. And we still meet weekly most of the time. And it's just been great to get to know Claire over those 3 years. So Claire Baker is a certified life coach through the Life Coach School and a seasoned nonprofit executive. In her coaching practice, she specializes in helping her clients achieve transformative personal and professional growth, navigating career transitions, health and weight loss journeys, and relationship challenges. Claire's coaching practice is informed by over 3 decades of leadership experience in mission-driven nonprofit organizations. In addition to her work as a life coach, Claire is the program director at the Communities Foundation in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, and previously held key leadership responsibilities at 5 other nonprofits, both small and large, in roles ranging from communications to operations. Claire has a psychology degree from Oklahoma State University and a background in business, and brings a unique blend of strategic thinking and human-centered approach to both her coaching practice and organizational leadership. Throughout her career, she has consistently demonstrated the ability to build strong teams, forge meaningful partnerships, and create lasting community impact. So, hi, Claire.
Hi, April. When I wrote that, I didn't realize it would take so long. If I had do-overs, I'd send you fewer words, but thank you for that nice introduction.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And before we get into the main question I'll be asking you, how did you decide to become a life coach after all your decades working with nonprofits?
It's funny because it really is tied into my how have I gotten in my own way in the past. It was looking at my body of work, and in nonprofits, I'm very, mission driven and committed to making a difference. But I feel like the thing I excel at in work the most is I'm a good boss, and I'm a good boss because I'm kind of a natural coach, and I like bringing along my teams and connecting with people in that way. And I thought, well, as I look So, and when I went through training, I guess, certification through the life coach school when I was 57.
Mm.
And I thought, you know what, I would like to create a new chapter that is entrepreneurial, and that is, I would like to transition from working for someone else to working for myself as a transition plan to my, ultimate ability to retire and collect all my, start spending my retirement savings and that sort of thing, and continue to work and scale it up and scale it down as a life coach. Because I feel like I was already doing that work. I just didn't have all of the skill set, and I didn't have the confidence really to hang up a shingle and say I'm a life coach without doing the work to get certified and learn. And the philosophy of the life coach school really just resonates with my style in general, and the model that we use is so helpful. And so that was just really helpful to me personally, and learning to do it, to apply the model to the people I'm working with, either as their boss or in an organization or as their coach. It's super powerful. So it was sort of my transition plan to not working for somebody else.
Got it. And I've talked a lot about the model on this podcast, so I'm glad you're mentioning it here too. And thanks for sharing that. So then how in the past have you gotten in your own way?
So I'm going to preface my answer with my desire to lead a values-centered, lean into my values in all aspects, and to be very clear about what I value. And I value making a difference in the world. I value being a good collaborator. I value, being a good problem solver. And so the challenge that I've had a couple of times in being in my own way is staying too long at a job. So right now I'm at the Communities Foundation, and I've been here less than 6 months. The job I was at before that, I was there for 9 years. And the job before that, I was there for 8 years. And in both of those jobs, I feel like I could have successfully left sooner. And in fact, I was pretty unhappy at the end, the last couple of years in both of those jobs. And so when you ask the question, how do you get in your own way? I almost looked at it as, if I had do-overs on anything, what would I do differently? To kind of define where I'm in my own way? And it would have been to transition out of those two jobs sooner.
And so I'm curious then, what was it that why did you stay longer than you wanted to?
Well, they're nonprofit jobs. I'm very committed to the mission of both of them. Mm-hmm. One was I was director of gardening programs at the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society. And so we worked with people in community to clean and green and make their urban spaces more vibrant and livable. And the one immediately preceding this was director of communications at Beyond Celiac. It's a national nonprofit that works to drive research for treatments and a cure for celiac disease. I have celiac disease. I know the impact that it has on people. Having a cure for celiac disease would be awesome. So both these missions I felt very strongly about. I was very, I love my coworkers. I get very attached to the people I work with. So I love the mission. I love the people. Mostly. And then there would be these, opportunities for me to continue to demonstrate my values in that work. So, I'm a problem solver, and I was in positions of being able to think creatively and come up with solutions in partnership, so the nature of the work generally stayed pretty satisfying. And there were those elements that were not satisfying, and that were, a severe detriment to me enjoying it. And then I learned more about coaching and how much of the situation I was in, how much of that was a circumstance, and how much of that was just the story I was telling myself about those circumstances. So I didn't know that then. It was later when I learned that. And I went through coach training while I was at Beyond Celiac. And so a lot of the, maybe I need to work more on separating the thought from the circumstance and what's going on here. There's a little bit, though, in the work that we do, that I might have gaslit myself a bit, thinking if only I worked harder, I should be able to sort this out. I should be able to make this right. There are many things about this job I like. Not every job is something you don't. They call it work for a reason. There's always, going to be things about work that aren't very pleasing. So am I just, am I just a quitter? They brought up all of the stories. So I had three trains of thought about if I would like to leave. I am not terribly happy. I'm not as happy as I think I could be at work. So what were the stories that came up for me? The first chunk were, well, it's my value system to be a hard worker and to not give up and to stay in there and to try to fix it. So there was that kind of how I see myself as a human and how I thought I should try to like take it on myself to repair what I felt like wasn't going well. And then there were a lot of fear-based stories. So I'm 57, this most recent change. I'm 57. I'm an out lesbian. It's going to be really, really hard. I think it's going to be really hard. I hear people tell me that old lesbians have a hard time, not specifically old lesbians, but older women my age are going to have a really hard time getting another job. Nobody's going to want me. So that kind of fear-based, oh gosh, maybe I should just suck it up and write it out. Or if I were, I could work harder at building my life coaching business. And if I did that, a whole lot of, if only I were better, stronger, faster, I would have more options. But right now I don't feel like I have a lot of options. So that was the kind of the fear of it. And then there were things that I had kind of I decided were practical considerations, which were really probably just kind of buffering and indecision, or probably more terms that you've used with your audience in terms of giving myself lack of clarity, lack of motion forward that sounded logical. Like it's going to be hard for me to make as much money if I change jobs again. If anybody hires me, then I'm going to be making less money. Am I going to have to get a job at Home Depot? Am I going to, have to drive for Lyft? All the noise that came up. I'm not going to be able to afford it. And then can I hang on? Can I just ride this out? Can I, there's a lot about this job that is fine. Like even after the pandemic, it was 100% remote. So it wasn't like I had a commute to complain about, or, it was, the trappings of the job were fine. So can I just fix me and this job will be okay? It's like, it's not that bad. It's it's just you, Claire. You're the one. And so then I stayed stuck for too long because all of those things sounded pretty compelling. And it was finally in both those situations where there was one specific, and I don't want to get too super detailed about it because I care about the people so much, even the people that I feel like were not handling things the way I thought they should. There's kind of a tipping point in it wasn't necessarily somebody doing something to me that made me mad and I quit, but I saw somebody else not be treated well or not be supported. And I thought, I can't do that. That was just like, that's clearly a violation of how I see myself. And I'm a good boss and I'm a good friend and I'm a loyal coworker. And if my coworker is not getting the backup that they need from the right people, I just can't stay here anymore. My efforts to help and to intervene and to support had gone nowhere. And I thought, well, my usefulness is done. If I can't be successful there where I am the best, I am a great boss. If I can't help there, then I need to go find someplace else where I can be a better contributor.
And it seems like that was like based on your values, right? That incident, or maybe those incidences.
Yes. And it's interesting because it's based on my values on behalf of others, but I wasn't giving myself that same consideration. So if
Right.
I hadn't been feeling supported in ways that I could enumerate, but I decided, well, I guess that's okay. It's okay to mistreat me. And
Mm.
I didn't actively think that, because if you
Mhm.
hear yourself say that, you're like, well, that's crazy. And nobody thinks,
Yeah.
go ahead and beat me up, because that's not how I roll. But um, the thought was, I must, I must have done something, or I can probably fix this, or all is not lost. But in this situation with my coworker, where things weren't going very well, um, I couldn't fix it. I tried really hard, and it was just like, I've done what I can, and I've run out of rope, and it is. So I planned my exit, and I planned it 4 months in advance. I looked at the calendar. I saw where it would be really, really the most convenient for me to leave. I did not leave the organization in a lurch or in a bad place or before events were coming up. But right after that last fall event, I said, hey, boss, got some news, and
Yeah.
gave my notice then. So I feel like I left with integrity, and I left without another job. And I did expand my coaching business some. I also discovered that keeping 4 people on health insurance in our economy is really, really expensive. I mean, I knew
Mhm.
that, but the the amount I would need to grow my coaching business and just cover our bases was less attractive than finding a job that had benefits.
And
So
you're talking about your wife and your 2 sons.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my wife and our 2 sons. Our sons are um, 23 and 21, so they won't be on our insurance forever, but they are for now. And my wife and I we're now in our 60s, and health insurance gets a lot more expensive when you get old.
Hmm.
So, um, so that was this decision to find another job was really based on economics. But I found a job that I like a lot, with a mission that I can get behind, and nice people to work with, and it's local. It's great. And so why didn't I do that 3, 4, 5 years ago? It's like, if I had gotten out of my own way sooner, maybe I would have found something like this or better sooner. So,
Hmm.
um, and then also, the part of that is to not spend a lot of time beating myself up about it. Like, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen, and I can't go change. I can't change what I did, but I can take those learnings from those previous 2 jobs. And if I find myself in a similar situation, don't wait. Don't wait years and years before deciding I can do something else. I think
Yeah.
the other caveat there was, I had spent a lot of time saying, I'm not going to quit without another job.
Mm.
And so I had been sending out resume in both those situations. It's sent out quite a few resumes, and from the Horticultural Society to Beyond Celiac, that was a leave one and start the other one in the following week. I once upon a time I had quit another job without a backup plan, and that was very stressful, and I didn't like that. But ultimately, that's what I did with my most recent job. And that brings us to another aspect of what can I afford, what could I afford, and what couldn't I. It was
Mm.
I don't know if the life coach school calls it math versus drama, but that's what I
Uh-huh.
call it. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
well, when I finally put pencil to paper and looked at all of our assets and all of our places and where it could come from and how we could manage and what we would need to bring in and extra, there was just a lot of story about, and a lot of fear around money. What can we afford? What can't we afford? What can we jettison in our life that we're paying money for? And frankly, we live very frugally. So there wasn't a whole lot of get rid of that expense. Like, don't make me cancel cable. It's like, it's only like $100 a month. So, so the math versus drama, sorting that out, I think also helped give me some clarity, and the support of my wife, and just, like, finally just, I, the mental health cost, it was staying someplace where you're not very happy for very long takes a toll, and it was taking a toll. And so, finally I did what I did.
Yeah. And I'm curious. So you mentioned like the fear-based thinking was one of the ways that you were thinking that made you kind of like stay in your job and not consider quitting when you wanted to. How did you get over those fear-based stories?
I didn't. I finally just got to a place where I can't stay. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be a leap. I've always found another job. I guess I could say I did. I don't think I ever got over those fears, frankly, but I did come up with some narratives that helped me not get so stuck in fear, like alternate true thoughts. And this is how I coach too, is like, the circumstance is I'm 60 years old, and the thought is I'm too old for somebody to hire me. Well, an alternate true thought is people who are 60 get jobs all the time. Or, yeah, I guess that's the best alternate, also true thought. I'm like, I don't have to believe that. Once upon a time when I was a young person, I read the book, What Color is Your Parachute? Like all of us in college. And there was one statistic in there, or one sentence in there that really stuck with me all these years later. And that was, even in terrible economies, people are changing jobs all the time. So the economy is bad, you should stay put is kind of BS. It's kind of what it keeps a lot of people frozen. But it is also true that people are changing jobs all the time. So I could be one of those people changing jobs. Like, I'm 60 and I can go get another job. I'm 60 and I'm very smart and creative. I'm 60 and I'm clever and people love working with me. I'm 60 and I'm a great boss, and somebody out there needs a great boss. So I could give it some alternate true thoughts to kind of calm down that I'm never going to get another job, which is really just BS. It's but I know that there are stories of people who quit and don't find another job, but that's not me. And there's nothing magical about me. It's just part of it is mindset, part of it is staying with it. I'm almost a little embarrassed to say this, but every job change I've had, I've changed the nature of the work, and I've taken a pay cut, and then I've advanced and surpassed what I had been making before, and then I quit and I do a completely different job and I take a pay cut, and that happened this time. So now, first time ever, I'm working in a foundation, when before I worked in communications, and before that I was a program director, and before that I was in events, and before that I was an executive director, and before that I was in operations. So every time it's like, hey, what would be fun to do? Oh, I've never worked in that field. Harder to get a job in that field. Oh shit, they hired me. Right on. Sorry about my adult language on your podcast, but so I'm super excited to work in a brand new field that I've always been interested in, that's connected to nonprofits, that just I didn't think when I had applied for similar jobs in the past, I just wouldn't get anywhere. And this one, dang, I got it. That's awesome. So I'm jazzed about it.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I really appreciate the way you're saying alternate true thoughts or alternate truths, because sometimes we can give our negative thoughts so much airtime that we forget that there are other ways to think about something that help us to feel better and more motivated, or just, differently about a situation. Because like you were saying, the circumstance stays the same. You're 60 years old, and then you were having these thoughts like, it's going to be hard to find a job at 60 years old, a new job. Some other thoughts that were not helpful. And then you had a whole bunch that were then helpful to you and provided probably better feelings, so that you felt motivated and energized to go look for that job.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so it's like the equal airtime concept that the Life Coach School teaches is important in this situation as well, just to help reframe the circumstance.
Well, and, my decision to leave might not, it was like, I cannot abide was kind of the thought I had when the thing happened. I can't tolerate this anymore. I shall give notice in a way that feels like it has integrity. And then the period of unemployment doesn't feel very good if your thoughts are, nobody wants me, I'm never going to find a job, we're going to have to sell our home, we're going to be penniless and live in a van down by the river. Those thoughts don't feel good. So you can't stay there either. How can you give yourself some relief from crushing negative thoughts? Well, sometimes you journal. We've talked in our mastermind about my morning routine, which involves journaling and getting all of the thoughts out and then catching myself in a negative spiral or just a whole raft of story I'm telling myself, and then coming up with alternate, also true possible thoughts. So this is also true. And so,
Yeah.
and feelings flow from your thoughts. So, and you might be able to switch back and forth pretty quickly. But if you're thinking, I'm a good boss, I'm a great coworker, people like working with me, that is a much better place to be looking for work than, oh no, I'm screwed. Nobody's going to want me. I'm old. I'm out. I'm, whatever the bad news is. So
Yeah.
even just making myself feel better in the moment was worth the work.
And I think that's so powerful because so many of us don't even know that we have the option to change our thoughts about the way our circumstances are. We just think, oh, what we're thinking is the truth. And this is the only way to think about it. But you're showing us that, yeah, there's one way to think about it, but then you can also on purpose have better feeling thoughts and choose them on purpose so that you can feel better. You can think about the situation in a different
way. They have to be believable, right?
Yes.
Because I couldn't just lie. I mean, I couldn't I'm 60 and I'm unemployed, followed by somebody's going to snap me up any second now. I didn't believe that. That didn't have the same. That evokes a shut up, Claire. That's not even true. So you can't. I always liked the analogy. You can't paste a smiley face sticker over your empty gas gauge and think that you're not going to run out of gas. It's like your brain and your body know when you're not telling it the truth. So find something that is believable when you work on those intentional models.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And so is there anything else that you'd like people to know about how you got out of your own way that you haven't shared yet?
I think there's I want to say that I give myself grace when I get stuck. And I'm not sure that I always do, but I know that it would be good if I did. Giving myself grace is it's much better, much more effective. And I see this with my weight loss clients and others, that beating yourself up does not take you closer to the thing that you want. So I am doing the best I can. Everything is going to be okay. Giving myself that grace, I think, was a big part of it too.
Ooh, yeah, that's so good. And so, Claire, how can people connect with you or stay connected with you? How can they find you online?
My website is practicalchangecoaching.com, and my social medias are all aligned with that, at Practical Change Coaching. TikTok is where I'm most active, then because it's the funnest. Then Instagram and Facebook. I have a podcast. It's called Practical Change for Midlife Lesbians. So if you go to the website, though, you can find all of that.
And we'll put all of that on in the show notes too, so people can have that for reference.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Claire. And thanks to those of you listening. I'm so glad you joined me for this episode of Get Out of Your Own Way. And to go even deeper, you can join me for Self-Care Sundays, monthly drop-in sessions. You can find out more at thehealingmodalities.com. You can also sign up for my weekly Self-Care Seeds newsletter there. And join me again for Get Out of Your Own Way every other Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central, and 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. Next time on Get Out of Your Own Way, I'll be having another coach join me to talk about how they've gotten in and out of their own way. So until next time, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
You have been listening to Get Out of Your Own Way. Get out of your way and get what you want through transformative self-care with me, April Yee. Tune in every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. In each episode, I present you questions that support you in building up your beliefs about yourself. To connect with me or for more information, you can email me at thehealingmodalities@gmail.com or visit my website, thehealingmodalities.com. See you soon.